Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Roddykat, and we really should have lower thirds again. I got to get back on that. But I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at CB Caps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings, coming at you live and direct.
Boy, back in the building, Brooklyn, we back on the map.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Hadn't heard this song in a minute. That's interesting. But yes, folks, we are here for the show once again. Back is the incredible, as they say. We're
the Uncannibal.
Exactly. And we are going to start off with spoiler-free discussions on Daredevil Born Again, because the rest of that stuff can wait till after the show, till later on in the show. But spoiler-free episodes discussions on Daredevil Born Again, episodes 5 and 6, which are titled With Interest and Excessive Force.
Yes, so this is the week with two episodes dropping on us, and you kind of understand why, given that the with interest episode is kind of a standalone, where there is a lot of interconnectivity and explored with the Marvel universe as a whole, and there is kind of a highlight of once again Matt Murdock not in the Daredevil costume, but not necessarily in a courtroom, but just going about his daily business, but danger finds him. That's just what happens to heroes, right? So circumstances occur that cause him to have to intervene in a heroic way, and it's a pretty fun episode. I like the episode a lot. There's a tie-in with the Kingpin's activities, because that's what is the impetus for the crime that Daredevil happens upon. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yes. So this is what they call a bottle episode, which means that it's an episode that is shot in one location partially to save on costs, but also let's just say it has something in common with a favorite movie where somebody welcomes another person to the party, pal.
Right.
And in that respect, but also we get a team up of sorts in that vein, from not necessarily directly from another MCU, definitely another MCU person, but not the one who would be directly in the heroic sense, but they are related. But the person who is teaming up with Matt in this situation is directly related to said person, which we got everything except for actually seeing the person showing up.
Right, but we do find out that Funko actually exists. A sponsor of the show, yes. Funko actually exists in the MCU.
Right, and they did it. They did it in an amusing way, because it makes sense given what you see, what it is, and in relation to the character that has it.
Right.
And technically who made it, because
right, it's a custom, right?
Yes. So it was I'm agreeing with Agent 70 about this was a pretty, I guess that's what you said, but this is a pretty fun episode in itself, despite the what it's about, or what is overall about. But it's it's interesting. I'm very curious to see if actually anything from this outside of, I guess, the output from the crime happening or attempted crime happening is going to show up outside of what has already shown up in the next episode we'll talk about. But there's part of this I wouldn't mind seeing. I was like, okay, are they going to come back and actually do the thing that was mentioned at the end of the fifth episode? That with a few characters, because I would like to see that. Of course, I would also like to see She-Hulk come by, but I don't think that's going to happen here, sadly. Or I guess I can go ahead and spoil this one. So there is a case that was mentioned also in episode 6 that Matt's partner was working on. That he's I guess he's kind of giving her something, or either he's taking the case or because it was her case, but I think he's kind of giving her tips on how to deal with it, whatever the case may be. But a name gets brought up, and it's not who you think.
Oh no.
And we find out that it's definitely not who you think because of a word that is used in talking about the case. So sadly, we were not going to see
Madison.
No. Yes, no, you're right. We're not going to see Madison with a Y, and unless they happen to show up in some other context.
All right.
So, which I kind of doubt that's going to happen here, but hey, you never know. I didn't expect episode 5 to happen either. So, who's to say? But overall, 5 and 6 together were good episodes. But yeah, you can kind of see why they're together, although they didn't necessarily have to be. Because it's not like they are, they have any directly distinguishable ties to each other. I mean, yeah, one does kind of come in the other because of, I think, some stuff that is said in episode 6 that comes from 5, or a meeting in 6 that happens because of 5 or something like that. But outside of that, like, hey, you could have pushed it to another week. But I'm thinking also they're probably trying to get out of the way of Andor.
That too. I mean, that's like the practical real world reason for it. I think that it putting out 2 episodes this week gives everyone who might complain that this bottle episode kind of stops any kind of momentum the show might have had. It gives them less to argue about because the momentum is brought right back to the fore. The story momentum is brought right back to the fore in the next episode. Mm-hmm. And it's that next episode called Excessive Force, titled Excessive Force, correct?
Correct.
That pushes things in a direction involving more Muse and more of an let's just say it's a reveal of everything except for whether or not Muse has any powers, because we get to find out what Muse's kind of the scope of his actions and his activities are, and that basically ramps up a lot of the risks and a lot of the danger for the characters in the show, specifically one person who is in the comics an inheritor of a mantle, but somehow, some way in this episode doesn't have a particular mystical amulet to protect her.
Well, to be fair.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's still in custody.
I mean, we're presuming so. So. Maybe what we find out at the end of this is that she is handed that particular amulet because of what happens in this episode.
I would hope. Yeah.
Right. But like I said, this is the big first encounter with Muse that shows how dangerous this character can be and has been.
Right. It feels like they're kind of teasing whether he actually has any sort of powers or not, but you could also brush it off as saying, okay, he was distracted. Or Daredevil was distracted, or excuse me, Matt was, well, no, it doesn't matter.
Definitely.
So, you can kind of put that one or two ways, although it did kind of, the couple of times you've seen Mew so far, he's like, well, you definitely know he's fairly strong, seemed like, for someone with his build, because it's like, he's just carrying folks like nothing. for lengths of as it looks to be the case for lengths of time through a long way, it seems like
so, even though it's a fireman's carry, which is how you're supposed to carry people, a lot heavier than you. Yeah, right. I understand.
Well, yeah, but there's a couple of times you see him hold them just in his hands. Now, granted, the person in this case is a lot smaller and lighter, probably would potentially lighter than the full-grown adults we've seen him carry.
Right.
But yeah, still, it's still kind of impressive. Nevertheless, I'm going to spoil us a little bit and just say that we do get a hallway fight, but it's a small hallway, so I'm calling it a small way. Because it is definitely a small way fight. That is funny. Also, it feels like a little bit of Wile E. Coyote in the way the fight starts. From what you see, actually, a little bit of Wile E. Coyote and Monty Python.
Okay.
Funnily enough, and you would have to know of a specific movie that I'm talking about for the Monty Python part. But nevertheless, hey, it was good. I think some things gotten out of there. Also, before I go on, shout out to Von Gloom in the chat who says BK is in the house.
That's right. What up?
Also, he has a question, which I think we have an answer to already, but he says, does Bullseye already have the adamantium spine? I don't think it's adamantium because that has just been, quote unquote, discovered.
Right.
So, I think he got spine surgery in Daredevil season 3 or something like that. I feel like there was a scene somewhere well before this where he had already had spine surgery. So technically he has something.
Right. I think they mention it's some kind of, I don't know if they say titanium or not, but it's definitely I think it's some kind of super metal. Right. It's not adamantium, but it's
could
definitely
be vibranium. We don't know.
Right. I don't think they say vibranium, but no. I definitely think that they mention either titanium or something like that.
Right. So yeah, he definitely does have something, but we just don't know. It's unlikely at this point that it's probably adamantium.
Right.
And also, Von Gloom said, "Oh yeah, how did some of it survive falling off the roof head first? Bullseye's hard-headed. And I don't think it was head first, but I don't remember if it was or not because all I remember is the thump, but I don't remember if it was head first or not. Even though they've played it a couple of different times at this point.
Right.
Von Gloom also says she seems way too young to assume the mantle. Isn't she like 10 years old? No, she's probably older than that, but I mean that's never.
Yeah, she's a teenager, right? She's a teenager. She's definitely a candidate for a young Avenger,
right?
Position. That's where I think this is going,
right? And that's not really stopped anything because if you remember from Doctor Strange how they aged down America Chavez, so that's not her being young. Just basically says that they can, if they choose to, use her a lot longer than they would, someone older. In a young Avengers role or in the role that she's probably going to assume. So, yeah. Nevertheless, I kind of that being said though, I do kind of like the characters. Like, okay, from what I remember from her comic book version, like yeah, she's got the spark. she's kind of hard-headed and spirited. Right. So, although she and a couple other people in this week's episode, in episode 6, were like, y'all should know better. Come on, man. Her, she had an agenda. You saw her going down that road, but there was a couple other people in the episode was like, you just gonna roll up, huh? Just.
Oh, we're talking about the fangirls?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that unfortunately spoke to reality more so than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Which is not the last thing this week that addresses that, which is kind of funny.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, well, we know them chicks are gonna get dealt with. So
Yeah, seriously. It's like, you know, you wouldn't, like, why would you approach so closely? You know, can we get a selfie? Are you serious?
Right. Now, the only thing you could say is, okay, they're thinking, you know, he's just a Banksy type. Of course, we don't know how dangerous Banksy is, so.
Right.
So you don't just roll up on the person. And they still hadn't, you know, because as we find out in episode 6, was like they were trying to figure out how to, the you know, the police and whatnot are trying to figure out how to deal with this Mute situation now that they found this out, which is also kind of funny as to how they found out.
Right.
So, you know, that's as far as we'll go spoiler territory with that, but yeah, they had it coming.
So, right. This does as a quick aside. We also get introduced to a Daredevil supporting character from recent runs in the comic, Cole North.
Yes.
And you know, that was interesting that, you know, that this character made an appearance in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll see if that character plays true to form. You know, it was interesting to hear that name mentioned.
Right. But see, every time I hear North in relation to anything Marvel relation, I think Dakota North, and I'm fairly certain that this character has no relation to that character.
No.
And that character would never probably have an MCU character, which would be kind of funny if they did, because we hadn't seen that character since the 80s. Actually, I take that back. That character's probably shown up somewhere, but yeah. Yeah, like I said, I had to look up that character because it was like, okay, being that they introduced them the way they did, clearly the person had to be of some notoriety. And I looked it up and was like, okay, so yeah, they're basically playing them in a similar situation as the comic book, or seemingly in the same vein as they did for the comic book, from what little I read anyway. So cool, I guess, you know. Bunglum says they aged down to Sunspot at America Chavez. Yeah, I mean, we don't, you know, it's a thing. But yeah, I mean, that's really all we can or should really say about these two episodes. They were good, you know. I genuinely enjoy, you know, episode 5 for what it was, you know, like I said, and 6 just kind of picks us back up and puts us back on the rail, on the track, and to the next 3 episodes, and there we go.
Yep.
And on that, we are going to go into the books of the week, starting off with Ultimate Spider-Man number 15.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 15 is written by Jonathan Hickman, with guest art by David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So the Parkers are on the run. And believe it or not, we get, you know, this is a minor spoiler. We get an Ultimate Sandman appearance, while Ben Parker and JJJ have a face-to-face with the Ultimate Kingpin. So that I really liked. I really liked the Ben Parker and JJJ scene, because it almost felt like it was from a separate book. Because with the Parkers on the run, they're off dealing with the after effects and the consequences and ramifications of the Craven hunt that happened over the span of the last several issues. One interesting kind of side story right now is going to be the ongoing relationship between this version, or let's just say a version of Spidey and this version, the ultimate version of Black Cat.
Yes. Indeed. It's, again, like I told Dave just having a prior to the show, which he knew this already, you know, Ultimate Spider-Man is usually a pretty breezy, but also for a book as breezy as it is by Jonathan Hickman, is a pretty good book, pretty fun book at a lot of times, and including in cases of this one too, because while they're on the run, they're like kind of out and about, and they still manage to get into some Scooby-esque dealings, which ends up ends up with the revelation that Agent 70 just mentioned about the Ultimate Sandman. I think there was I do love a couple of references that was in here. Richard was like, yeah, his team ups are fun, especially the father and son kind, especially the son. So I was like, maybe is there a Superman and his son or Super Sons reference going on there for this distinguished competition? Maybe, I don't know. But
you got me.
Yeah. But also Hickman does not like Ben Reilly, apparently. By the way that by some information that we find out during the during the Ben Parker the Ben JJJ and the big guy talk chat, that was a little excessive.
Yeah, seriously, all Ben Reillys.
Right. So but yeah, so this was a potential click of the week for myself. Ultimate Spider-Man is usually great, so that's not a big surprise around these parts. But it's up there for a pick this week. Did the Sandman have a sick kid that forced him into crime? No, I can say
Not
that part.
Version.
Yeah,
Not
so.
this
You can read and find out how that happened, and I know you will, but that is not a part of that. I can safely say that's not a part of his backstory. And with that, though, unless you got something else on it,
Nope.
we get to the next book in common, which sticks to the Spidey corner for a second. That's the wrong thing. Amazing Spider-Man number 70.
Alrighty, Amazing Spider-Man number 70 is written by Joe Kelly, with pencils by Ed McGuinness, inks by Mark Farmer and Cliff Rathburn. Colors are by Alex Sinclair and Marcio Meniz, and letters are by our favorite lettering python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So we get to the end of the story of the 8 deaths of Spider-Man, and it's an interesting way to wrap this up. This is also the last issue of this volume of Amazing Spider-Man, with a new relaunch coming up shortly, like very shortly. And this was a relatively satisfying way to wrap this story. It was an interesting twist on kind of a legendary story where Spidey takes on the Juggernaut by himself. And the twist here is that, and it's given away by the cover, that Spidey takes on basically the power of the Juggernaut, but at the end of the day, his innate Spider-Man-ness convinces like an elder god, like one of the elder gods of the universe, one of the elder gods of magic, to do something that would not normally be in his let's just say in his nature.
Right. Something selfless.
Yes.
So yeah, so there's part of me in rethinking about this issue was like, they could have, and me being woulda, shoulda, but telling, even if I was plotting out this whole thing, would have thought the same thing. Hindsight or it's hindsight being what it is, but also I'm talking from the rafters. I don't know. Part of me could have been like, why didn't that death that happened could have been the thing that happens here? But at the same time, no, this worked out pretty decently, We get a new Marvel Legends figure, as we said last issue. We get a couple of good.
It's gonna be an expensive one. It's gonna be a big one.
Oh yeah, that's probably gonna be a builder figure. It's got to be, right?
You
don't think so?
No, because spoiler alert. It's if it's a Spidey Juggernaut, then they'll probably issue like a special big figure because they have not made the Juggernaut a Build-A-Figure.
Okay. Well, that was along the lines of what I was thinking of, because I was thinking if they had done a Juggernaut.
Could, right. I mean, they could issue like another Spidey wave where each piece is a Spidey Juggernaut or Spider-Naut.
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, you know, chances are you're right, but I think the way, I mean, this is just me speaking to the way they've been releasing Marvel Legends is that they're just as inclined to just release a larger figure and just charge the appropriate or at least less bloated price point. But we'll see.
Yeah. So this is also, of course, because current events in the Marvel universe, we do see a little bit of not necessarily one world under Doom, but we do definitely see Doom still around for this. Him and Doctor Strange in a Watcher type fashion, which is kind of funny.
Right.
And we get some not on knock action. We get I'm just going to say, because I'm pretty sure Agent 70 did not read the other issue where this happens, but we have the first of 2 fastball specials from this week, which was kind of fun, yeah. I mean, outside of that, yeah, we get. I'm calling it an in credit story, but it's not necessarily. But I mean, even though it does come after the letters page, that's why I'm calling it that. But I'm not sure if that story that happens after the letters page is something for the next volume, which I'm going to assume that it is, because that's what normally happens.
Right. If you read the letters page, it kind of characterizes it as as such.
Right.
Is that it's a primer to the next volume.
Right. So we basically see in that story that, hey, Spidey's being Spidey. And it's just a story where, Spidey's definitely being Spidey. And I'm going to say, without no real knowledge of outside of the New Yorkers that I know, some real New Yorker uncharacteristic behavior. But I'm jokingly, I say that jokingly, because what happens in the thing, in the story is like, you know what, that y'all did me proud despite, what happened.
Right.
But it also goes into, seems to be going into the next volume with nothing real, glaring as to what it's going to be about. Just as like, yeah, here's the end of this, and then something that'll definitely be going in, that'll definitely be brought up in the next volume. But realistically, you can say that about what happens in the story, and what Peter says that at the end of the story kind of happens in most Spider-Man stories, because he's broke.
Right.
That's all I'll say about that. You'd have to read the read that other story for to get a little bit more context on that. But there is a slight happy ending also, because Peter kind of makes his apology tour again at the end of this, going out of this, and some things are cleaned up, and we still hopefully are going to see Peter go back to form. We also get a Spider-Man 3 reference, which kind of the thing that made me giggle the most.
Right.
Out of this issue.
Felicia makes that reference.
Mm-hmm. So that was a good time there. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man, that whole 8 deaths of Spidey is out of the way, so on to the next volume. And I guess now we know why they didn't renumber the story for this, because they wanted this to go out and then start fresh.
Right.
So, yeah. I was hoping they were just not going to renumber and just kind of keep going like they used to, but they didn't. That being said, though, we're going to get into the next book that we have in common, which is Doom Academy number 2 of 5.
Doom Academy number 2 of 5 is written by Mackenzie Cadenhead, with art by Pasquale Ferry and Joao M.P. Lemos. Colors are by Edgar Delgado and Joao M.P. Lemos. And letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this is a very interesting story where we find out that Doombot sees everything.
Yes.
There is a mystery that seems to be the through line of this story that's going to probably span the 5 issues of this limited series. Very magic based, and it's fun to see the Doom Academy kids interact with, we said this, I think, when we talked about the first issue, interact with these newer kids and see how, some of them have grown and some of them are still dealing with some of the same issues that they dealt with in the first several Strange Academy books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. They're just in a different location. So this is the weird thing seemingly about this is that while it is a tie-in to Doom, a One World Under Doom, and yes, they it is definitely placed in a in a place where Doom would be, whatever the case may be. We're not getting anything direct to the overall One World Under Doom thing,
right?
Or at least so far, and I don't think we are going to. Now that sounds like a complaint, but it kind of isn't, especially if you, like us, like the Strange Academy books.
Right.
So, any chance to get to see these kids again and getting into what they get into is cool. But it didn't necessarily have to be under One World Under Doom so far.
I have to push back just a touch because the effects of One World Under Doom are so wide ranging that, especially because they delve into the world of magic, that it makes sense that the Strange Academy kids would be affected in specific and certain ways. And that's what that's what this limited series is about. And, we could even get into one of the other, this is a perfect segue into one of the other Doom, One World Under Doom books that we have here. That's Doom's Division #1 of 5. Was that the next book that we were going to do, or
it was? But before we do that, I was just going to say, like, you're right about what you say, but at the same time, they didn't think about it. If they scraped out the One World Under Doom and did this any other time, it would have still been the same Strange Academy book. As far as we know so far, like there's,
but for the inclusion, but for the location change,
right?
That's the key. Right.
If you scraped all that out, it would still be Strange Academy book, and
right. It's a Strange Academy book, just with the added complication of Doom being the headmaster, as it were.
Yes. Now then, as we get back into Doom's Division #1 of 5,
which is written by Yoon-Ha Lee with art by Minkyu Jung. Colors by Mattia Iacono, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is, kind of following that train of thought from Doom Academy #2 of 5, right? Mm-hmm. Doom's Division #1 of 5 is looking at One World Under Doom through the lens of South Korea, a different view and take for sure. So this is Tiger, and believe it or not, Tiger/Doom Division, with their latest surprise recruits, are set to take on an old friend or foe, or both friend and foe, depending on which version or which part of the character's long history we dive into. This character has a resistance that he's building up in opposition to One World Under Doom. I'm not going to spoil it, although my notes do spoil it. So if you're looking at our show notes, I do spoil who that is.
Yep, mine does too. So, despite what I said about Doom Academy, this actually does, given what they set up here, makes more sense in the One World Under Doom because of the new mission they have. That Tiger Division has, because of the fact that Doom has opened the borders and it has encroached on everybody's everybody's freedoms. No, I shouldn't say it like that. That's not true. But some people are welcoming it. But beside the point,
that's exactly right. But that's exactly what the ongoing dialogue and debate is in this issue,
right?
Because it's a different point of view, especially given the history of the country that's being, let's just rephrase that and put it as and phrase it as, given the history of the nationality of the majority of the characters in Tiger Division, right? Then you understand how they might view this as, less of a, I don't want to say it's a good thing, because they're all debating whether or not it's a good thing.
Right. They've had history of people coming in doing doing similarly to what Doom is saying he's doing, saying he's doing now, and not exactly shaping out to being that case.
Right. So
go ahead.
I just enjoy. I enjoyed seeing some of the guest stars come into this book. Some of them who were introduced as a real surprise. I'm like, really? This character is just like one of the random Asian characters that's just like laying around, not doing anything under X-Manhunt, and now they're here. Is that what the deal is?
That was a weird choice, because even when we when we had the article about that announced this book a while back, it looked like that was a weird choice. I mean, is it kind of understandable giving nationality, I guess, but also like still a weird choice. So, we got 5 issues, and we'll see what how they plan on using her and the other couple of people that come into play here, which those other 2 also kind of make some sense, because just like Tiger Division and a couple of people, at least 1 or 2 people that are on the team, like they throw them on a specific centric team, that it makes sense. So and also, you forget that Tiger Division has had some history with Doom, apparently, and I totally had forgotten about that until they mentioned it. I'm like, oh right, that was a thing. So, and also, just like I forgot what that was. The other thing, a character mentions, just like what I mentioned from or alluded to in Daredevil, when we talked about Daredevil, a character says, the thing technology can't give us, common sense.
Right.
Because of what we kind of alluded to happening in Daredevil. But not everybody's okay with not everybody's all right, I guess. There's no real other way to say it, with Doom taking over, and there is discussion here about that, and I guess there's going to be more discussion about that as they go on their mission to go after some other folks who are not down with what's going on.
Right. I mean, listen, this makes sense because they're using like an actual nation's super team, but they're kind of melding the concept of or at least the concept that was under, and I couldn't remember the name of the book, the New Agents of Atlas.
Yes.
Right. And they're melding the concepts here, especially by melding by adding in the various nationalities, the various heroes from other, from like a Pan-Asian, making it a Pan-Asian group, right? That's more along the lines of the New Agents of Atlas, and we'll see if there is more of an interaction with the rest of the characters who formerly made up that team.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Yeah, I guess that brings up that other question, who's like, are we going to see any of them? Are we going to see Amadeus Cho? Probably not.
Probably.
Are we going to see Swordsman? Better. I mean, what's his name? Not Swordsman. Swordsman is from whatever. Wait, what's that? What was
Swordmaster?
Swordmaster. Thank you. I totally forgot the kid's name.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
he's the new. He's still Iron Fist, but whatever.
Right. Right. No, but you get, we mentioned it before. It's like you get Wave, you get Arrow, and obviously, who's it's
Karma.
Luna Snow. No, Luna Snow is on both.
Yes. Correct.
Oh, she's the main character that kind of crosses over between the two.
Although it sounds like from what they say at the end of this, she might not be with the group for this mission because of what they got her, because I guess what they're having her do. Or at least that's what it sounds. But we won't know that until next issue or whatever the case may be. So, but that's the case. Von Gloom asks, is Agent Wu involved? No.
Not in this yet.
Right.
This is just the first issue, so we have not yet seen how, the former new agents of Atlas, kind of mesh with this.
Right. And yes, Von Gloom, you are correct about that Iron Fist thing, but I still don't acknowledge it because it should have been Pei. Or Pi, how you pronounce her name, I forgot. I think it's Pi. But regardless, it should have been her, not him. Even though she is still around and still kind of has that mantle, sort of. Anywho's, so yeah, that's Doom's Division. We're gonna keep on top of this one. Let's we'll see what happens with it. We're gonna get to, well, it's not the last one we got into, but we're gonna get to the last One World Under Doom related book that we have in common, which is if you hadn't read One World Under Doom, you may want to read that before you read this, which is Fantastic Four number 30.
Fantastic Four number 30 is written by Ryan North with pencils by Corey Smith, inks by Oren Jr., and colors by Jesus Bertov. Letters on this book are by our favorite lettering paisan, the hardest working letterer at Virtual Calligraphy, VC's Joe Caramagna. As Roddykat just mentioned, this is a direct follow-up to One World Under Doom number 2 with the story of the Grimms and one Philip Masters, a.k.a. the Puppet Master. That was a twist I did not expect.
Right.
It ties together a story that, that happened a little while ago, but it was a pretty effective way to bring a story point back that we thought had been kind of, glossed over, brushed over, and just to, brushed under a rug, as it were. But to see that particular story point get brought right up, and I'm pretty sure I had the same look on my face as Alicia did when the point was brought up. That it, I was like, oh snap! What a, I was like, damn! I totally forgot about that.
She was like, oh,
so, right, and that's definitely, and some of what's studied here, some of the aspects of the characters here and the character dynamics between the Puppet Master, a long time antagonist, but also at the end of the day, a long time supporting character in the lives of Alicia, Ben Grimm, and and the FF as a whole. Just to see them all kind of interacting and playing off each other as members of an extended family, that really gave us a strong issue and a definite candidate for Click of the Week for me.
Same, actually. And it revolves around, like I said, we don't want to get, well, I mean, we can, but I don't want to get into it and too much, but there's a reason why they are now the Fantastic Three, which was because of what Doom did to a character, which again, not the first time this character has lost their powers. Which I'm also kind of surprised they did not bring that up in this issue. That is a curious notion, but I guess it doesn't necessarily need it, because it was a pretty affecting issue on how that character is dealing with that, or and we rarely ever get that side of this character. I mean, if you're watching the video version, you can see who it is. So it's not, and or if you've read One World Under Doom number 2, so no real spoilers there. But like I said, we rarely ever see that. Even the last other time or two where they have lost their powers, So it's
I wanted to mention.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go,
Finish.
go ahead.
I wanted to address a question in the chat that Von Gloom asked that he thinks that the Puppet Master's hands were destroyed by the Immortal Hulk. I don't remember when that happened, but that Immortal Hulk run was so long ago. I'm assuming they could no prize explain that away.
Right.
That time has passed and medicine has gotten to, I don't know, allow the Puppet Master's hands to function again.
Right. Healthcare is surprisingly good in the Raft. Who knew?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember that either. So yeah, I don't know. But Immortal Thor, I would almost say is worth going back to read.
Immortal Hulk, yeah.
Immortal Hulk, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, because Immortal Thor is going on now. But yeah.
Right. Which I still haven't read, so I don't, or I haven't caught up with, I should say. But but no, he's doing it the old-fashioned way, with his hands, like Terminator X, and his daughter. So yeah, there's that. But that being said, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so speaking of the Raft, something does happen there, which I suspect is going to come back into play in another book that's coming out next week. And this is just me, speculating as people tend to do on stuff. The person. Well, let's put it this way. It's all the War Wonder to do, so I'm pretty sure what has happened is not without reason. And probably not without the guidance of the person that the event is named after. That's all I'm saying about that.
Right.
But we'll see if that is actually the case or not. But yeah, Fantastic Four / Fantastic Four 3, number 30. So the only thing that was kind of weird to me with this book was like, this is Fantastic 3, which it is. The next issue is called Fantastic 2. And we have not seen where that has been the case. And I think there's something that was brought up in the beginning of this issue that might play to what's going to be happening next issue. Would not be the first time that this book has done this. So, or any book has done this, but this book specifically, it's like, oh yeah, here's where these characters are dealing with, and that's why we got the place to ourselves, or whatever the case may be. Von Gloom says it happened in Fantastic Four. Puppet Master took over the Hulk during the Thing's honeymoon. Oh right, I do vaguely remember that, but I still don't remember if the Hulk did anything with his hands there. But Von Gloom also says that during the Hulk, Puppet Master took over the Hulk during the Thing's honeymoon, and Ben shattered his arm, knocking the Hulk out. I remember that part. And the Hulk was pleased and paid the Puppet Master a visit. Was not pleased and paid the Puppet Master a visit. Which, sure, sounds like something that would have happened, but I don't remember how that played out. But I do remember that first part you mentioned. Which, man, it's been a while for that one. So, that's good reference in there, Von Gloom.
Definitely good memory.
Yeah, because
good memory. I wish I had a memory like that.
Right, exactly. And speaking of memory, the last book that we have in common, it's back, folks. Bitterroot, The Next Movement, number 1 of 5.
Right, Bitterroot, The Next Movement, number 1 of 5 is written by David F. Walker and Chuck Brown, with art by Sanford Green, colors by Matt Herms, and letters by Hassan Otsmane El Howe. So we get a time jump from the Harlem Renaissance to Civil Rights era, with specifically a freedom ride highlighted in the Deep South that runs into what may be a resurgence in the Genu attacks of the past, and the Sangerye, I think, family in place to combat it. So that's really the setup that we have here in issue number 1, and what we're going to be exploring over the 5 issues. We get to kind of reacquaint ourselves with the Sangerye family, and specifically one carryover character who's grown up a bit
Yes.
into the this new era of storytelling.
A couple actually, but yes, definitely, because the characters that show up that from the first season have definitely aged up, including one that was already old then.
Right. That very true.
So, but yeah, it was an interesting first issue, like was telling Agent 70 before the show, and he kind of grew his like, yeah, it's been a while since Bitterroot, and was kind of hard to remember what all happened, but as Agent 70 said, then luckily they did give a little bit of a tidbit of like, hey, remember, this and this happened back then.
Yeah, remember when? Remember
Right.
this? Yeah.
So you get a little bit of not necessarily footnoted, but you get a little bit of, all right, hey, guess what? This was a thing that happened then, and that's why we had to keep things going, and expand operations, even on the low.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was a good issue. If you enjoyed the Bitterroot, you will enjoy. I think you will possibly enjoy this.
Oh, sorry. Hitting sound effect buttons by accident.
I thought you were going to hit the roots the next movement, so that would have been appropriate.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, that's pretty much that book. There's really not much else to say that won't give up too much of the book. So that we hadn't already said. So, and with that, we are going to go into rapid fire.
Oh, rapid fire review time, folks.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All righty, I'll go first. First up is Absolute Wonder Woman #6, published by DC. It's written by Kelly Thompson with art by Mattia DeUlis, letters by Becca Carey. This is kind of an interlude issue that explains how Diana of this you heard me say it, of this ultimate Diana of this absolute universe came to be, and filling in some more blanks of her background in the underworld Hades. So this is definitely an issue not to skip if you want to learn more about the story of Absolute Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Daredevil #19. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Aaron Cooter, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. This is the end of this particular story arc, this long-form story arc. It has echoes of the Disney Plus show and Seven, and they echo all throughout this book, right? This is an interesting end to this chapter of Daredevil's story, and it gives a deeper look into the religious side of Matthew Murdock. Ultimately, though, it doesn't seem like this is going to be the end of this aspect of the story, but it was still just a great way to start. Let's just say it's a great concept to help start a reboot of the Daredevil story. That being Matt being basically resurrected as a Catholic priest. I thought it was a great concept. We'll see if it is a concept that goes completely out the door as the story takes its next turn. But I'm willing to stick around and find out. Let's see here. Next up is Godzilla. Surprise, surprise, more anniversary stuff. Godzilla versus Fantastic Four #1. It's written by Ryan North, the writer on the current book, with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz, letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. One way to have the FF team up with Godzilla, Cosmic Godzilla. Listen. One of the conceits here, one of the concepts here that they're exploring for these kind of like an anniversary type crossover is that Godzilla is going to be interacting with the Marvel Universe over the course of time. This is a Fantastic Four that is very much in its early stages of its existence. So you have an FF speaking in a different way. They have a different dialect, even almost a different way of interacting with each other and describing themselves. They are still seemingly very much early on in adapting to their powers. So this is an earlier version of the Fantastic Four, and I think the concept is that Godzilla is going to be interacting with members of the Marvel Universe over the course of time. And this is, circa just after the first appearance of Galactus, basically. And just after, that entire episode where the first appearance of Godzilla is kind of just, it's kind of in real time, kind of at the same time, it's all kind of they all seem to be happening right around the same time in real time. Let's see here. Last but not least, I have one last book, folks. I squeezed this in, and we got our show started late because I was squeezing this in. It's X-Manhunt Omega #1. It's written by Murewa Ayodele and Gail Simone, with art by Gleb Melnikov, Federica Manton, and Enid Balam. Colors are by Brian Reber, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. This is the culmination of this X-Manhunt story. And it is a nice little wrap-up, and it leads directly into Imperial. And basically has Xavier try to tie things up, try to wrap things up in a bow, and then move off into his next adventure. And we'll see how that affects the X books moving forward. Because Imperial is going to be its own thing going on, but we'll see how the X books are impacted by what their longtime teacher is telling them to, what he's saying to them as he embarks on this next adventure. And that's it for me.
Alrighty then. For me, I have Star Trek Defiant #25, written by excuse me, Christopher Cantwell, with art by Angel Unzueta, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. First of all, the Burb System. I just had to bring that up there, no real reason, but that's where the bulk of the story is taking place. A character that we thought lost in this book has come back from seemingly death in a very Star Trek manner. In fact, Star Trek, and I would go so far as to say Clone Wars. Excuse me, not even Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels type way. That in itself would give you a hint if you think enough about it. And they're back running, doing their thing with a character that has been in the book and has been in, that was in a one-off TNG episode as a scammer. So them two are kind of running around and they're getting along swimmingly, but the book ends up catching up with what's going on in the main Star Trek book, and in that fact that the whole universe is being swallowed. And so here we find these people, these two, and ultimately the crew of the Defiant, or the rest of the crew of the Defiant minus Worf, kind of getting to know, or getting into things, I should say, as was going to eventually happening. And the next issue is going to be Lore War, since that is has already been, the fires of that has already been stoked. But this was an amusing issue. because of some names that pop up while the two are doing scams, and and the fact that it's finally caught up with Lore War. Is it too late? Who knows? But next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures Continued, number 23, story by Eric Burnham, art by Dan Schoening, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. We get Donatello as a spy. In fact, he is, the name of the story is called Donatello, Agent of Dude, which stands for Daring Undercover Department of Espionage, as he gets drafted because of a character from, I'm going to assume it's from the show that this is set in, which is the 86 Turtles animated series. Some dude named, wait, do I have his name? Dirk Savage recruits him because of a thing that is going on in this book. And while Donatello was basically trying to get some stuff for his sick brothers. But of course you can't keep a good sick turtle down, as Donatello's not alone for long, but it is a fun story. And Donnie channels the Terminator at the end, so that is, you have to read it to find out how that comes about, why that comes about. Speaking of turtles, we have another crossover, folks. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto, number 3 of 4. Written by Caleb Goldner, art by Hendry Procedia, colors by Raul Angulo, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Potential click of the week for me because it was a fun read. So the Turtles give Team 7 a tour of the Big Apple Village, as it is called in this book. And while that's happening, Shredder has captured Master Splinter and April, to which, of course, the two plots end up intersecting very quickly, and we get a team up, an actual team up of the Turtles and the crew from Naruto, and complete with anime-inspired names of attacks being called out. And the second instance of a fastball special from this week, as I said earlier, which was kind of fun. So that was interesting. But yeah, this is good stuff, though. It's good and fun. Next up, we have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 4 of 5. Because yes, even though the show's over, the book is still going for another issue. Written by Christos Gage, art by Eric Hapster, color artist Jim Campbell, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, Spidey, this book takes place, is a kind of a prequel to the show, or at the very least happens in between episode 1 and 2 or somewhere around in that area. But Spidey pays a visit to Silvermane, who is behind, and the Enforcers, who's kind of behind some dealings there. Maybe possibly one minor one from the show, but we don't actually know that just yet. But he's not alone in his dealings, because he has a woman in the chair who doesn't know she's the woman in the chair at this point. But Spidey and Nico had a plan. Well, Peter, had a plan that he only told Nico partial of, that kind of goes off in this issue. But he still gets in some Spidey trouble at the end, and we shall see the conclusion of that next issue. Last but not least for me is Black Canary Best of the Best, number 5 of 6. Written by Tom King, with art by Ryan Sook, colors Dave Stewart, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So yes, this is round 5 of the the knockdown, drag out fight between Black Canary and Lady Shiva. The color commentary is still all out wild, and this the most of you get out of this issue, outside of some flashbacks with Dinah being trained by her mom, and some definitely some things coming out of those flashbacks. Excuse me, but we also cut to what is going on currently with Dinah's mom's condition, which is part of the impetus of why she's even in this fight, unbeknownst to a lot of people. We get into the last round in the next issue, and possibly the last round for a character in this book. Von Gloom says, "Wow, hadn't heard the name Dirk Savage in decades." Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it when I was watching the show. So you're one up on me. But folks, that's all the books that I have. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
You got your potentials there, sir?
Just about. I'm still weighing some considerations, but I'm pretty close. How about yourself?
So I will take this time to mention that neither one of us got a chance to read Absolute Martian Manhunter, which came out this week. I kind of really wanted to catch up with the Absolute stuff, even though the book that I want to catch up for probably has no bearing on the rest of the universe, which is Absolute Green Lantern, which I know Al Ewing's writing. And actually, I was kind of interested in this book also, but I didn't get a chance to read it. But as far as potential Kliqs of the week, FF definitely is one. For certain, that kind of hit harder than I expected it to.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And just to echo what Roddykat was saying just now, there were a surprising number of books out this week.
Oh yeah.
And as much as I tried to squeeze in as much as I tried to squeeze in before the show, there were still several books that I could not get to, like Justice League Unlimited, such as the last issue of that Wolverine Revenge book. And even an issue like Uncanny X-Men number 12, I think it was, couldn't get to it today or this week. So, hopefully I'll be able to squeeze that in before the next issue comes out.
Yeah.
I think I will go ahead and say that I will pick Fantastic Four number 30.
Okay. That is Agent 70's pick.
Candidates were, Daredevil. For me, the candidates were Daredevil number 19, and believe it or not, X-Manhunt Omega number 1. But I think of the books that I was considering, Fantastic Four number 30 was the strongest.
Gotcha. And for potentials for me were definitely Ultimate Spider-Man, but again, that book is always good, So, that's like picking your favorite Annihilator or something, which we all know is great. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if anybody has a favorite Annihilator at this point. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle X Naruto also was a good one for me. Excuse me. Did I have another one? I don't think I did. Actually, I think those are the two that I mentioned. But there were a couple of good books, and there were the couple that I didn't get into were DuckTales came out this week. Darkwing Duck also came out this week. And yeah, some of the other books that Agent 70 mentioned didn't get a chance to because it was a hell of a lot of books this week. But I think I'm going to go into you know what? Yeah, sure, why not? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto number 3 of 4 is going to be mine. because the book, it was fun. It was quite a fun read. I enjoyed it. It's a crossover that I don't know whether you should have expected it or not, but it's here. It's here and it's a thing, and there's probably going to be more crazy crossovers coming up. So with that, we are going to go into the news section, but first, let's get an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as custom DIY pop figures that you can make of sparkly, spangly Ms. Marvel. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news, as we do about this time. Amanda Seyfried got the offer, quote unquote, for Gamora, but thought it'd be Marvel's first flop, and quote, I'd never work again. It's about a talking tree and raccoon. Guess you
got that wrong, sister.
Yeah, very much so. Which probably we might have been better off for it, honestly. I don't know. But according to this article, Amanda Seyfried was the latest guest on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, where she was offered from James Gunn for the role, and she molded over. But you know, the sound bites that it just said was the case. But also says, I was really scared of the idea of being stuck and painted a different color because of the amount of time it takes. It was a giant opportunity. I just met James in person. He is wonderful. Apparently someone said he didn't remember, but it's definitely true. So, and then the quote goes on from there. So, interesting. Next up.
Yeah, this is what I had to say about that. Anyway, Marvel unveiled the gigantic cast for Avengers Doomsday just the other day after an hours-long tease. And Marvel confirmed much of the cast of the next Avengers movie, and it pulls together a huge list of stars from films ranging from past Avengers and X-Men flicks to the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the upcoming Fantastic Four First Steps. We're not going to go through the entire list because it's long. But folks, get ready for a humdinger.
Indeed. If you're watching the video version, you can see me scrolling through the list. If you hadn't already seen the announcement or, heaven forbid, sat through that almost damn near 6-hour long live stream that they had for this thing, that might as well have been the equivalent of one of those fireplace videos.
That's funny.
Because holy hell. But that stuff is out there, and so is the information. But to continue with that, though, Marvel and Robert Downey Jr. teased that they're not done revealing the entire Avengers Doomsday cast. Not surprising. Hot on the heels of announcing a further 26 cast members for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, Marvel and Robert Downey Jr., why is he? Well, I mean, we know why he's in it because he was in the initial announcement and for reasons, but they have teased that they're not done yet. Let's see. So yeah, the live stream was yesterday as of this recording, which is on the 26th, and which ended with Robert Downey Jr. showing up and shushing folks. But there was one. This article mentions that there was a surprise. There was one surprise on his team by someone trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
being a part of the cast.
Right.
So, and of course, people, as they tend to do, and including a couple of people that I know, were like, "Where's this person? Where's that person?" You know, and people have to remember, one, just because they announced this cast member, it doesn't mean that they're done. And there's a whole big ass 2 movies that they're doing here. So there's a good chance that some of the other people that they're thinking that are absent are going to show up, possibly, potentially. So maybe with, 1 or 2 exceptions, maybe not just who didn't want to come back for it, or, who's to say. But nevertheless, like I said, we have probably a whole nother list of folks that are, and of course, one of the names mentioned was Chris Evans from that, but just, hey, because that's been the one that's been on a lot of people's minds for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, so that being said, hey, RDJ calls it, that's what you call a deep bench of talent. And actually, it's more like a row. That must be it, right? Because he's apparently making a joke. Hardy. Marvel then teased in the comments that there's always room for more. The Russo brothers added, it's time. So there's probably going to be another, I don't know if it's going to be a similar live stream, but there's going to be another cast listing coming up at some point in the future, I would assume. Next up.
All righty. So someone who has a mystery role in Fantastic Four, Paul Walter Hauser, came out to Variety and said that the Marvel movie is going to rejuvenate the MCU in the same way the Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther hit. Well, let's hope.
Yeah, the difference with at least Guardians of the Galaxy, no one expected that movie to be what it was, to be what it ended up being. Just like Ant-Man.
Right. We got 3 Ant-Man movies. Come on,
right? Exactly. No one expected that. We got 3 Guardians movies also, but so yeah, no one expected neither one of those to be the case. So, but whether Fantastic Four is going to have that same impact or not, we'll have to wait and see. One, like I expect a little bit more out of this one than I did for those other 2 movies that I just mentioned. Black Panther, personally, was just a personal hit already for me, but it ended up actually being good. So, yeah, like I said, we'll see. We'll wait and see on this here thing. They got to do right by the first family. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's hope that is the case, especially if they're trying to put them in. Which the more thing I'm kind of curious about is like, how are they going to integrate them with the Avengers Doomsday? Like, is there going to be some time traveling shenanigans, or is this going to be a sidestep? Or
just got to wait for the FF movie to come out.
Exactly.
I'm holding. Yeah, there's only so much I'm willing to talk about at this point when it comes to that.
Next up,
it's you.
Sad news if you are a fan of Star Wars and or Batman the Animated Series. Clive Revile, my apologies. I guess he was also in Transformers also, has passed away after a lengthy battle with dementia. He was 94. He was 94 and passed away on March 11th in a care facility in Los Angeles, as confirmed by his daughter to the Hollywood Reporter. So he was the voice of Emperor Palpatine in the original, in A New Hope, for those wondering his role in Star Wars was. And I guess, and also Empire Strikes Back. He was also in the 86 Transformers movie. He was also Alfred in Batman the Animated Series, and I guess he had a part that I don't remember from Star Trek The Next Generation series. So good chance you probably have seen and or heard of him in one of those franchises. So rest in peace. Next up.
The Walt Disney Company recently released a new poster and trailer for the highly anticipated 2nd season of Star Wars spin-off Andor. The Disney Plus series is a prequel following the titular character Cassian Andor, introduced in 2016's Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. So the first 3 episodes will air on April 22nd, 2025 on Disney Plus. The first 3 episodes of a 12 episode second and final season. So yeah, this is pretty highly anticipated for the most part.
Did you happen to watch this trailer, or I feel like I probably know the answer to this question, but I'm asking anyway.
I think so.
Did you watch this one? Okay.
Yeah, I want to say that the trailer dropped like a week ago, and or something like that, or
no, actually, this one was from a couple of days ago, or
maybe I saw a teaser.
I mean, there was the trailer. Yeah, there was a trailer before that we saw a while ago, but I think this one. Yeah, I think this one from a couple of days ago. I would have to go back.
I have not seen the updated trailer. I saw the initial teaser trailer.
Right. So, and it still has some of that same stuff, but it does add a couple other things to this trailer than that other trailer did have.
Gotcha. I'm not trying to say I'm not going to watch it because I haven't seen the trailer. You know what I mean?
Right. So. But I know sometimes you just like me. Sometimes you'll be like, I only need one trailer and just let the thing come on out. And
yeah, exactly. So, exactly. That's kind of where I am now. I'm just waiting for April 22nd.
Right. Also, WonderCon is happening this weekend. I did not know that. So I guess we're going to see some more news next week. But speaking of Andor, the showrunner for Andor hopes that Disney Plus show success helps convince Lucasfilm to sign off on either a Star Wars horror film or a sitcom. So this is from Tony Gilroy, who talks about broadening Star Wars horizons with Andor, which, hey, you already did with that first series, so congrats to that. But let's see. Tony Gilroy believes that there's room to try new things. I think we've made our lane with Andor, goes the quote. And Skeleton Crew was trying to do their own thing too, he says, in this in the interview he did with SFX Magazine, which features Black Mirror Season 7. Okay, I shouldn't have read that part. The hope is that you can do anything, and we're going to open up some canonical things and concepts in Andor that maybe will get people excited to do other things. We shall see. I mean, he's got a point about Skeleton Crew and what Andor did. Like, there are very much more stories in Star Wars universe that could be done outside of, Sith and Jedi. So, and I guess you can say that Skeleton Crew kind of worked. So, definitely Andor worked, but also Andor feels more like a rip from the headlines thing at this point. But we shall see. Next up.
Alrighty, Smallville co-creator Alfred Gough has revealed that plans for an animated sequel series are off the table because of the upcoming DCU Superman reboot. So, back in 2021, Smallville star Tom Welling revealed that he was working on an animated continuation of the CW series with co-star Michael Rosenbaum during a cameo video, which was later shared on social media. But now the project is no longer going forward because of the recent regime change at Warner Brothers and James Gunn's big screen Superman reboot. Okay, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, if that is a final thing, All
right.
So they could be saying that because, I mean, yeah, it could very well be that case, or it could be it was like, hey, sparking up interest and hoping that's not actually the case. We don't know. Regardless, Netflix announced the first ever live-action Scooby-Doo series. Let that sink in for a second, folks. So, yeah. Based on the characters from Hanna-Barbera, the latest show is a modern reimagining of the iconic mystery-solving group of teens and their very special dog, according to this Netflix press release. I'm going to call this press release. They call it's an article, but whatever. Let's see. During their final summer at Camp Ruby Spears, funny. Old friends Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely ghost. a lonely, lost Great Dane puppy that may have been witness to a supernatural murder, together with a pragmatic and scientific townie Velma and strange but ever so handsome new kid Freddy, they set out to solve the case that is pulling each of them into a creepy nightmare that threatens to expose all of their secrets. Dun, dun, dun. Camp Ruby Spears. That's a really funny reference there. Yeah, we didn't need this, but it's a thing. It's happening. So, next up.
So in another story about a trailer I did not watch, it's now only a few months until the John Wick franchise is back on the big screen, this time with the Oscar-nominated Ana de Armas in the lead. The new trailer for Ballerina shows de Armas in action as Eve Makarov, a Russian ballerina turned assassin with an eye for vengeance against the men who killed her family. But de Armas is not alone, as Keanu Reeves makes his anticipated return as John Wick. This is, again, like, I'm going to go watch the movie. I'm going to go to the theater and watch the movie. I don't need to be sold on this one. So I may not want to watch this trailer.
Right. I mean, I still might because, but yeah, I didn't watch it so far yet either. And this article mentions The Continental, which I did not know had Mel Gibson in it, which is probably a good reason for me not to watch it.
Yeah, a couple of wild notes here is that, what we do know is that the Ballerina takes place in between John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, and John Wick Chapter 4. And we also find out that this movie came, this just reminds us, it's not this is just a fact. This film comes 2 years since audiences saw Reeves in the fourth entry. They were like, wow. 2 years ago, holy crap.
Yep. 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to kill some MCs. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's crazy. There has been Matrix movies and John Wick movies on streaming services and channels lately. And I can't stop myself from watching. Anyway, Rings of Power Season 3 is diving deep into Tolkien lore as if they weren't already. Question mark. But according to this article, Lord of the Rings of Power set thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and also technically not related to the movies, but kind of is. That's my editorializing for that last part. Takes audiences back to the fabled second age of Middle Earth's history. They talk about who created the show, talk about season 1. And the fact that it's returning for a third season. It says here, ripping the Band-Aid off and addressing the most pressing question that fans may have had for now. A release date on season 3 has not been confirmed at time of this writing. However, I guess this article is speculating that or what they are going to be seeing in the new season. And it sounds like, according to this article, there's going to be a time jump, which, yes. Jumping forward several years from the events of Season 2, Season 3 takes place at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron, as the Dark Lord seeks to craft the one ring that will give him the edge he needs to win the war and conquer all of Middle-earth at last, according to that. Sounds like something from an announcement from the Instagram account that confirms the time jump. So there you go. Next up.
All right, next up, apparently the Powerpuff Girls will be returning to Cartoon Network on Saturday, April 12th, as part of a new morning lineup that also includes a returning Steven Universe to the network as well. So, it's part of a block of what claim to be Saturday morning cartoons. So, that's not a bad thing.
Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Sure. Hey, kids don't know nothing about that. Well, kids right now don't know nothing about that Saturday morning cartoon life. Sadly. We get into the one piece of Anime Corner news.
Alrighty.
Transmute.
do wish it was about the Gotcha Man, but sadly no. Mobile Suit Gundam's G-Quax, we're gonna say. I'm still not entirely sure how to pronounce that thing. Shares new key visual, and also the fact that the series premieres on April 8th. So, and it's going to be on Crunchyroll if you didn't know that already. So here's the key art from the show if you're watching the video version with the main character who's going to be piloting another big ass mech. And there you go. Yeah, that's pretty much that. And we go into comic book news.
Alrighty. So as announced on March 25th, so that's only a few days ago, I missed this news, Alliance Entertainment Holding Company has acquired the major assets of Diamond Comics Distributors. Alliance is a publicly traded global wholesaler and distributor who lists music, movies, video games, electronics, arcades, and collectibles among their products offered, and now add comics. So, according to the release, Alliance acquired substantially all of Diamond's assets. Let's see here. All right. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this is a pretty big company. It's publicly traded. It's a holding company. So, there's going to be some changes to be had. We'll see how this affects distribution going forward.
Yeah, and I was trying to see if Alliance Entertainment is the same Alliance Entertainment that that owns Rainmaker Entertainment, aka Mainframe Studios, the folks that did Reboot and whatnot. But I'm not certain if that is the case. So, but anyway. Yeah, that's what I'll have to look into later. Actually, you saw me looking at it if you were watching the video version, so there you go. Spider-Man has a new costume with an addition that might surprise you. This is from Spider-Man versus the Venomverse limited series that is coming up, and has to do with Spider-Man, aka Japanese Spider-Man. Who gets a new suit apparently, which possibly means there's going to be a new Marvel Legends figure coming out of this. But I guess we shall see. If you're watching the video version, you can see, the suit itself from the cover. So there you go. I really need to find. I know it's on YouTube, but I really need to find a set for Japanese Spider-Man, because that show was wild, wild as hell. But anyway, next up.
All right. Trinity, daughter of Wonder Woman #1 by Tom King and Belen Ortega, is set to launch in June 2025 from DC Comics. So this is a new book that would see 3 different versions of Trinity from different times: the toddler, the middle grader, and the older teenager previously seen in Trinity stories, but all existing together and working together at the same time. Let's see. Yeah, it's a 6-issue series with #1 out on the 11th of June. And
Excuse me.
yeah, so Trinity will be the adopted daughter of Wonder Woman Elizabeth Marston Prince. She will take on the role of Wonder Girl and work alongside her former babysitter. Oh, okay. This is an interesting way of going into this. Okay.
Indeed. Sure. Hey, I still hadn't read any of that whole Trinity stuff. But then again, there's a lot of DC stuff I hadn't read yet, so that's not saying much. DC is bringing back this is spoilers for Aquaman #3, which is already out. And we've already talked about, but DC is bringing back an obscure Lovecraft villain, I guess, and he's already captured a Justice League veteran, according to this article. So, right, I do remember this. So yeah, Aquaman gets captured by this character who is, I guess, Lovecraft inspired or something, but I don't know who this person was. or did not know who this person was, or whether they were new for this story or something long-standing in DC lore. But apparently they've been around, so that's news to me. There you go. Next up.
So Batman Forever is back on toy shelves. We're talking about the movie here. Thanks to Spin Master, who have launched a Batman Forever DC Retro Collection lineup that features heroes and villains from the film, as well as a collector's set that features Batman and the Batmobile. The lineup includes 5-inch figures of Batman, Robin, the Riddler, and Two-Face on retro-styled cards, and you can pick up the individual figures and the collector's set at Target right now. Yeah, that's, at least, you get the feel you get the feel of the original film, and the toys seem to be reasonably priced.
I'm gonna be honest. The Batmobile in this figure looks like a shoe, and I thought it was a shoe that was being announced, or a skate, or I don't know, something. But that's just me. So, but if you're watching the video version, you can see what I'm talking about right there, right there, right there, right there. Next up, though, Hey Dude launches. I'm pretty sure not to be confused with the Nickelodeon show, but Hey Dude launches Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shoe collection. You can see one of them right there. I would not sure if I wanted to meet the person who would be rocking these shoes, if we're being honest. But hey, it looks like a loafer, or at least the one that is showing. So let's see. Many of the shoes in this collection are likely to trigger happy memories, according to this article, I guess. The Mikey Wally design for $75 stood out the most, according to this article once again. In addition to the fun TMNT inspired design, the shoes are also roomy and easy to slide on and off. Okay. That's, if you say so. Again, if you're watching the video version, you can see the shoe in question. And give me some Donnie shoes, and I probably still wouldn't buy them, but we'll see. I mean, would like to see what it looked like. Next up.
All right, Wolverine claws back to life with the new X-Men 97 figure from toy maker Mondo. So this new X-Men 97 figures of Wolverine in his brown and tan suit based on the season 1 finale, Tolerance is Extinction. Tolerance is Existence, I'm sorry. I misread that. Let's see here. So this is a 1/6 scale figure with lots of accessories. It's pretty cool. I'm looking for a price point. $245. Nice.
Yeah, that's how Mondo do.
Yep. Yep. It's a deluxe type figure.
Mm-hmm.
Release March 20. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. That's something else.
Oh. I also do like one of the pictures is, if you watch the video version, you can see it. The moment, the Magneto moment that they tried to recreate with the figure, or I guess they did recreate with the figure. Amusingly. Pretty good. Next up, though, shout out to Von Gloom for this one, actually, because he let me know about this one before I saw the actual announcement of it from Nintendo. New Marvel beat 'em up from TMNT Shredder's Revenge Dev, which means it's going to be a good it's going to be good, probably, hopefully. Dev looks awesome, and this is called Marvel Cosmic Invader. It is a beat 'em up in the vein of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, or Captain America and the Avengers arcade game, or the Turtles arcade game, or the X-Men arcade game, etc. Beat 'em up arcade games of the like. So yeah, it's a co-op brawler coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC later this year. It looks pretty good. You can basically, like, you yourself can have a team up of two folks. Okay, I need this thing to stop. But when you team up with others, you can go, or you can do like 4-player or whatnot. You can check out the trailer for this for yourself, and if you are interested in anything I just said about it, you should. Some of the folks that are in this, if you're watching the video version, you can see it also. But some of the folks that are in the game, Spider-Man, there's Nova, Richard Rider, Quasar, Phyla-Vell, Wolverine, Captain America, Storm, Venom. There might have been a couple other people, but I don't remember from seeing. But yeah, definitely check out the trailer if it is of something interesting. And like I said, these are the folks that made the Teenage Mutant Ninja Shredder's Revenge beat 'em up from the last year or two, and that thing is good. So if it's anything like that, this is going to be real good. Next up.
That looks like fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's great that they're using, like a comic book story like Annihilation. That it's underutilized as a inspiration. Righty. So apparently, an Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Community Edition mod adds over 60 playable characters. So this is over a decade later. So this apparently massive modding project known as the Community Edition was announced by members of the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 modding community. So the team behind the mods announced the full version of the game is now available to download, and it's brought nearly 70 new characters to the game. My goodness. So this is a mod for the PC version, right?
Mm-hmm.
Figured. So
I mean, it's probably cheap at this point, so it wouldn't be hard to get your hands on.
Right. All right.
In fact, according to this article, you might be able to find it for $21 at a place, which is not terrible. But for this mod, hey, that'd be almost worth it.
That's a lot of characters,
right? And with their move list and everything. So basically, it's like Marvel Mugen. For those in the fighting game, know. But if you're watching the video version, you can see the list. There's the Capcom list and there's the Marvel list. It's fairly extensive either way. So yeah, I may be apt to pulling this up. I can't remember if I actually have MVC3 on PC. Probably. Anyway, next up though, Hasbro summons the G.I. Joe Classified Series mercenary Darklon, which I believe is some relation to Destro, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure. But Darklon is a ruthless arms dealer and warlord who made his debut in G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 113 in 1991. He is a distant... Wait. It says here he's a distant relative of Cobra Commander and controls Darklonia, and which is a small militarized European nation known for its advanced weapon manufacturing. Now, in the Energon universe, he is Destro's cousin and does that exact same thing. So I don't know if that is a typo on this article's fight or this article's part, or that is some history that I don't know. And I feel like I looked it up earlier also, and I thought it said Destro also, so that might be a typo here. Don't know. Regardless. But regardless, $24.99 is the pre-order price, and the expected release date for the figure is August 2025. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the figure right there. Next up.
Last but not least, Robosen's self-transforming Bumblebee is finally giving Optimus Prime some backup. I mean, Grimlock was around, but that's crazy. So powered by 31 servo motors, Bumblebee transforms from a bright yellow bot to a classic VW Beetle with a scaled-down design officially licensed by Volkswagen that can be driven using a smartphone and Robosen's app. So they even brought back Dan Gilvezan, who voiced Bumblebee in the 80s Transformers cartoon to record over 200 lines of dialogue. I love it. So you can get a Robosen Bumblebee for pre-order through the company's online store for $949, which is a limited time 30-day discount on its full $1,299 price tag, which is slightly more expensive than the $1,200 Megatron that launched last April, but still much cheaper than the self-transforming Grimlock Dinobot that debuted in 2023 for $1,700.
Right.
Folks, I hate to admit when something is worth it, that's that expensive, that's a toy, but it's pretty worth it. If you've ever seen them in person, Robosen does not play. These things are really, really cool.
Look, if I had the money, I would definitely get at least 2 out of the 4 of them that are, the 4 of them. Like I said, I would still hold out for. I know that the Megatron that I know I'm never going to get for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these things are cool, and I ain't got that kind of scratch.
It's pretty wild, like you have to have a decent amount of income that is usable for fun.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Indeed. Oh yeah. So Dan Gilvasan, which I was like, wait, didn't he play Spider-Man? He also did. He absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
He from the 81 82 / Amazing Friends era.
Yep.
It's like, all right, I know that name sounded familiar. Because back in the day when we were young, it was like, wait a minute, that's this person, that's that person, because we're young enough to remember this is that the other characters that they voice or other characters that we watched. Anyway, yeah, this looks good. I wish I had the money for it, but I don't. You did mention the $949 pre-order.
Yeah,
did you know?
pre-order. Yes.
Yeah. So there is that, but you'd have to get in on that before the price goes up, which is the same thing that happened with the other figures. So,
yep,
ridiculous, but damn, that looks good. As I told you in the 70s, I'm holding out for a sound wave, probably complete with tapes, but I don't, it'll probably never happen. That being said, folks, that isn't for the news section. Before we get to our last ad read, though, I know Agent 70 had a show and tell to do, and so did I. So I'm going to kick it over to him real quick for his.
Sure. Mine's pretty quick. So for fans of the show, people who follow the show know that I'm a big fan of the Haikyuu manga and specifically the anime. And I picked up something that apparently was officially licensed by Crunchyroll. It is the Haikyuu official ramen bowl with official chopsticks and spoon. So I'm going to just turn off my background here just so that you can see this more clearly. That's it right there. You get the chopsticks and the spoon. And this is the Karasuno High School Volleyball Club ramen bowl. It's pretty cool. I just got it as it's kind of a gag, but it's pretty cool.
Okay, well, that kind of answers my next question. Do you plan on actually using the bowl, or is it just going to be on your shelf?
I'm definitely going to wash it and put it in the cabinet. Whether or not I'm, I generally don't eat instant ramen all that often. I may make my own ramen,
right? And
just have some. Mm-hmm. But we're getting into the summer, so it might be a little while. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, right now for you in your situation right now would be a good time for a good bowl of some hot ramen.
Yeah.
That being the case, I'm going to give.
In that situation, just being a little under the weather, you can hear me sniffling. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So I'm gonna push the thing over to me, and so I had this last week, and I think I might have actually mentioned it last week during the show, but forgot to get around to it at the end of it. And here we go, folks. if you're watching the video version, you can see I am holding up in my hands and sniffing the brand new Marvel Multiverse role-playing game expansion book, which is the Spider-Verse. There we go. That's better. Yeah, there we go. Because I'm not dropping my background yet. But there it is. It came out last week and got me a copy. You see Miles is on the back there with Sandman and Otto and Craven and a bunch of other folks. And I guess that's Electro he's smacking down. So yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to pour through this. But, yeah, you can barely see it, so don't worry about it. But looks good. It's like, what, 44, 45 bucks or something like that. It's probably closer to 50 if you, depending on where you're buying it from. I think that's MSRP. But one of these days, I'm hopefully hope to run something out of this thing. And I keep saying that, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But I will have the book and the artwork, and I'm happy. But I would love to run something out of this campaign. But I don't want to be the one to run it. I don't want to be the DM. I would like to play, not to be the DM, because I don't know how to DM. And I'm sure there are people who would show me that I know, but that's not gonna happen. Unless I have a really good story, but who's to say? I ain't got time for that. But folks, that is it for me. Can we get our one last ad read?
All righty, our last ad read of the night. When we've been here for a while, keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Remember, if you shop at Amazon often, bookmark the link or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN each time you order. We thank you for your support. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Alrighty, folks, that's it for this show. We are gonna bounce up out of here until next week, where we have another episode of Daredevil Born Again to talk about, and whatever books happen to make their way to us then. And with that, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at CPCaps on Instagram. Instagram's the OnlyFans for legs, I guess. No. I don't know, something like that. Agent _70 on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find this on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. And you can find us, recording every Thursday night, mostly, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com/TheClickNation, and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Yes, again, make sure to click like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when we are live. Leave us positive reviews. We're very thankful for your support.
Yeah. And when that Marvel beat 'em up game comes out, rest assured it will be acquired and possibly played. I still got to get through the whole other list of stuff, as Von Gloom reminded me of that I have a list of to play through. But
there it is.
All in due time, folks. All in due time. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
And knowing is half the battle.